Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a hopefully fairly quick recap of Keirah's Autumn Equinox 2025 semester at Orilium. As a quick recap, she is our Dwarven Archmage freshman who is heading through from she just went through the arches, and we're going to be going backwards and doing her spring semester out of order. Already working on getting that put together because I didn't know about Orilium at the beginning of the year in order to do the spring semester in order. So we will get her through her first year by the end of this year. Alrighty then. So first classes that she took were in the alchemy track, and it was liquid sunlight, blossom properties, and flavor enhancing tricks. I did not love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in general. I don't know if it's because I was trying to audiobook it and it would have been better as a read. Some books are better in one or the other, though I do find usually, in most cases, I'm going to give the same star rating either way, but sometimes one or the other will really push it in a direction. So like sometimes it'll just be an amazing narrator that you're just like, it was so much better. Certain genres are also definitely push one way or the other for me personally. Anything that has lots of lists in it, so that's a lot of the high fantasy stuff, I find is better like actually read for me than audio. Not always. Like in general, as an example, I liked the first Dune just fine. I really enjoyed it, both reading and audiobooking. But the second one, I ended up DNFing, even though I've read it before, because I just was not loving it as an audiobook and decided, hey, I'm going to cut my losses and say, nope, this is not an audiobook for me kind of book, and we will need to check out and wait for, or at least put it on hold and wait for the written version, ebook or physical copy for me to get through that particular one. As an example, there's the opposite that has happened as well. So, anyways, so both Maxim Ride, which was actually the Angel Experiment. Maxim Ride is the series, and Hot for Slayer got 3 stars from me. I liked Hot for Slayer. I thought it was cute, and I liked that it was one of the longer of the series. I've only read 2 or 3 out of the 6 novella series that this is part of so far, and this has been my favorite of them, and it also happens to be one of the longer ones. I tend to prefer full novels over novellas. Not always, but typically. I feel like there's just a lot more you can do with more pages when it comes to getting to know characters, and getting to know characters is something I personally really like when it comes to my fiction content. So there's that one. And then on Angel Experiment, I swore that I had read this book before, like way back in the day. I was like, maybe like high school even. I don't even know when this came out, but I was like, I feel like I've read this before. Like I know the synopsis. It sounds familiar. The first like maybe half the book, yes. The second half, no clue. Either I didn't finish it or someone had just told me about this book at some point and they never got to telling me the ending, or I forgot what they told me, because I do not think I read the ending of this book. At least the second. I don't think. Definitely the last third. It just had never read it. So I'm glad I did. I would not read this exact novel again, but I will probably pick up the next one in the series at some point. It's not going to be a priority series for me just because I have so many book series open right now. So many. But it is one that I do want to at least pick up one more, see how I like it, because I think this seems like fun. I want to see what experiences the kiddos have. I think the thing that's going to pull me back on this one is that it is kids. And sorry, my nose is fairly itchy at the moment. And I don't always love middle grade, and I think this is technically a YA. So, but it's got elements that I think that could potentially push me one way or the other, depending on how the next one goes. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a fun read. It was a quick read. Then we got to Artificery, which was another novella. I did like this one. I did not like this one as much as I liked the books in the trilogy. But I did end up giving it 4 stars, and I think that may have been my mood. I was just like in the mood for this book, and I was like, yes, let me go and find it. Hooray, it's available. I'm going to devour it right now. And I was really, really hoping for more in this series, but it says it's a trilogy. Like, I looked it up and I was like, they have set themselves up. Bryn, so she has set herself up for more story that's more than just novellas. Like, I feel like there's a whole nother, at least novel, but I'm like, maybe she's taking it as a spin-off trilogy or a spin-off series and going a different way. I don't know. But it's definitely set up, and this set it up even more for another book. But it says it's a trilogy, and there are already 3 plus this novella, which is 3.5. So I don't know if anyone knows if she's going in this universe somewhere else. Let me know, because I would love more of the story at some point. I know there's not any more currently out of this universe that I haven't read yet, but fingers crossed for more in the future. All right. Next one was Spells and Incantations, and I read Charm, Luck, and Current Spell Trends categories or classes, I guess. The first book was Animal Farm, and that went into under like in that 100 to 199 based on my role, and it was on my list of books that I needed to read anyway on my priority reads list under the category, I believe, of banned books. So, because I have like a classics books and a school-aged reads look, which is like high school reads, and then a banned books that are things that I didn't necessarily get to when I was in school, but I think that I would like to learn more. So I'm going to grab those. Anyways, that came on there, and I had lots of feelings about this one, and that definitely made it push up to 4 stars for me, because anything that's going to make me feel some kind of way and make me, in this case, angry, um, definitely deserves its stars. And I had my husband read this one as well, and he also felt the same. He was like, well, I can't say what he said on the internets probably, but he was very upset with the pigs. Let's put it that way. And this has been probably the one that we had the most feelings and discussion about in general in the last couple of months. We have lots of discussions in general about books that we've read, but this one we had multiple discussions. Things would come up and be like, do you remember? Pop into it. So I definitely suggest this one. This one is a very good read. It was actually a pretty quick read because it's under 200 pages. So pick it up. Then we get to Space Vampire, which was another one in that same series that Hot for Slayer was in. It was okay. It was 3 stars. I like Ruby Dixon in general on some of her books, but most of her books for me end up being right around 3 stars of I enjoy them, I'm glad I read them, would not read again. They're sort of like a, I don't know how you want to say that, like a dessert kind of. They're not my main course when it comes to reading, but they are fun. And I did like this one. It was very short. It was, I believe, under 100 pages, maybe even under 75 pages. It was super short, and it was cute. I didn't love the insta love situation going on, which I know it technically wasn't instant love, but because it was so short, it ended up basically being insta love, and that's not my favorite trope. So that's probably why it wasn't my absolute favorite of the books that I've read, because I've read, I think, 3 of them now, like I said. So Inscription also had another one of my 2-star reads, which I've mentioned before, which was Warriors Into the Wild. Nothing was wrong with this one. It just wasn't the age group I usually like to read, and it wasn't really the book for me personally. So I put that as a Probably not going to finish that series. I went ahead and put it on DNF on my series' list in general. I'm pretty darn sure. But if I didn't, it will likely be moving there when I get everything wrapped up for the month. Which you'd think I'd have already because we're almost a week into the month. But nope. I was out of town and then craziness. It's been crazy. And the next month is not going to be any better. I'm looking forward to November, where things are a little more calm, surprisingly. I don't think I've got any travel scheduled for November. I'm going to have a lot of fun in October. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be great. But there's so much travel. I am literally traveling. Let's see. This last week I was traveling. Actually, the weekend before last I was traveling. Then I came back and then I left on Wednesday and then I came back and I was home this weekend. Yay. And then this coming weekend, I'm gone on Sunday out of state. And then I come back and then I'm home for an entire week. And then I leave on the Sunday again. But I'm gone an entire week that time. And then I come back and then I'm here for almost an entire week. And then we go international traveling for family vacation. So between work craziness and all the things I need to do for all of those different trips and challenges and everything else, I'm a little stressed, just a wee bit, and also way behind on everything, generally. All right, moving on. Rant over. Okay, the guild book was not one I could get for points because you can only be in one guild on the Discord, and you have to be in the Discord chat in order to get the points. But I did read it anyway, and it was The River Has Roots. I gave it 3 stars. I did enjoy it. I would read more in this world. I think it's a really interesting magic system, and I've said that exact same phrase multiple times already on this channel. But it's really cool. It reminds me of what is the other series that I just read? Blood Over Brighthaven. And that they have sort of typewriters that they put mathematics-based formulas mixed with spells sort of into these typewriters, and out pops a spell that can be initiated. And like through that process, and that's a really cool, I mean, that's a very simplified version of the magic system there. But that is, or that's not even all of it. That was an amazing 5-star read, by the way. Loved it. Please pick it up. It'll make you happy. It'll make you sad. It'll make you scream. It was amazing. But it is similar because it is a words-based magic system. And I would like to learn more because I feel like I'm still a little confused on a little bit how this system of magic works. And once I fully dive into it and I understand more about it, I think that I'll really enjoy this magic system. It's sort of very poetic and also technical at the same time, and there are fae, and this particular book has non-binary representation, and it was lovely. It also had some fairy tale elements, which was interesting. It did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Like halfway through, I was like, oh, hopefully, like this is going to be the outcome, and it didn't. And I think that's the reason that particular twist about why it didn't go that way is what made it have that fairy tale element to it. It definitely had nods to various folk tales that I have heard in my life, and that was enjoyable as well. It was sort of like, oh, that was similar to this story, and oh, that's a nod to that. Anyway, leaving on, I don't want to get too much into this one because it's supposed to be a short catch up and synopsis on these. But anyway, yes, good, liked it, 3 stars, would read more in this world. All right, next was Animal Studies, which is extra credit. This is where we get into our extra credit books. The Near Witch was one I was already going to be reading for another book club. It was for Hatchlings, a debut book, and V.E. Schwab did a phenomenal job. I gave it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. Would also read more in this universe as well. I want to learn more about these characters. And I did actually read the novella, the prequel for this book, because I think this is a standalone with a novella, if I remember right. And I was hoping that there was going to be more. And I was like, oh, if there's a novella, maybe there's going to be more. And it doesn't look like there is. When I looked it up, there was just those two. So maybe there'll be more in the future, because I think it was interesting. Another one of those ones that has fairy tale elements, magic, generally very much liked, would read again. Emerald Blaze is in that Hidden Legacy series that I just finished up in October. 4 stars for pretty much all of the actual novels, no less than 3 stars for anything I read for that series in general, including the short stories and novellas. So, yay, liked that one. Did not get to the D level. Then Ashbourne Boy over here. That was the prequel to The Near Witch. Just as an FYI, it is rather short, under 250 pages. I believe it's actually under 100 pages, so it definitely falls into that novella, short story. I don't remember, it's like right on the verge if I remember when I was looking it up, because I audiobooked this one, I believe. Anyway, so we got into astronomy. Across the Line was on my list of books for a book club that I needed to read. So that was Character with an Invisible Illness, and it was good. It was 3 stars. A lot of romances in general, especially contemporary romances, for me, tend to hit right around the 3 star. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time, but I'm not going to read it again. And I don't know if that's just because that's who I am as a person. But generally, that is right around where I expect contemporary romance to fall for me. So I got exactly what I was looking for out of it. I did not read this one straight through. I did put it down once. And I don't remember why. I think it was just some of the trope parts of it where I was like, okay, I think I'm done with that for today. And mood reader. And I just wasn't feeling it for the day. So I moved on to another one and came back to it. But it was good. And then Scraps, Peels, and Stems, I put it as a 3. And I've mentioned before that I just don't think that I need to be reading ebook versions of cookbooks. And I probably shouldn't do cookbooks in general for challenges. I just shouldn't. I feel like I should. I don't do well when I read through them all at once, or I read through them in even chunks, because I don't. It doesn't feel like I'm reading it necessarily for content. I'm reading the section, and then there are all of these recipes, and I'm like, I'm going to use like 2 or 3 of these recipes, maybe, but I'm not going to do them right now. So I want to put it down until I get to it and then come back to it. And it just doesn't work for challenges for me. So I don't know that I'll do any more challenges ones. I may talk about ones that I read, because I have several cookbooks that I want to read in general at some point. One of them is about cheese making, and there's one about dehydrating foods and some other preservation related book, but I don't remember what it is right now on the bookshelf that I need to get to at some point. But I don't know that they are ones that really I'm going to count as reading, you know? But we'll see. Moving on. I mentioned this one, Blood Over Brighthaven. 5-star read. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. I did not think I was going to love this book. I started it and I put it down for over a month, and then I picked it up and did not put it down until it was over. Like, fell asleep listening to this book because I really wanted to get through it, and I just could not stay awake any longer. I listened to it on audiobook, and it was phenomenal. It had discussions of social class systems and magic and gender norms and discrimination and all kinds of things. And like, what does like, oh, it was amazing, both as social commentary and as fantasy all by itself, even if you don't look at the social commentary, which I think would be impossible. Like, the two were just perfectly put together. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Would read again. If there was more in this series, I would read that auto buy. This is a standalone though, but I think that I would. Author, M.O. Wang, if you made a precursor to this book, like a prequel, I would absolutely adore it. I would buy it in 5 seconds flat. I want to know so much more about the differences in the magic that was before versus how it is now, and that war and how all of that came about. That's only just sort of briefly touched on. I mean, it's important to the story, but they don't get super deep into it. I would have taken another 100 pages easily. Anyway, short and sweet. I love this book. Moving on. The Giver. I have read this before. I think I've read this twice before over the course of like my entire schooling, and then now, like a decade later, reading it again. And I still got more out of it this time than I did previous times. So I got 4 stars just for that alone. Also, I enjoyed it. I got to the last page and I closed it and I went, babe, did we realize that this is how this book ended? And then we had to go look it up and be like, no, there are other books after. They've come back and told us that's not actually what it was meant by. And I was like, but it could have. It could have ended that way. And yeah. I probably should move on before. That was my favorite page. Death of Salesman was on my list of school books, like high school books, challenge that I'm going through at the moment, which I'm not really treating as a challenge so much as I'm treating it as a book list. And it's one of the ones that's on Storygraph, rather than like an in-person meeting kind of group. It's a challenge that way. So I'm working through that. And then I literally picked this one from another TBR, knew nothing about it. It is definitely erotica, or at least a lot of it is. It's not. I mean, I enjoyed the book. Would read again. Would read the next one in the series. Wouldn't necessarily read this one again because again, it falls into that kind of romance. Once you've read it, you've read it. I will probably read the second one, but it was much more spice in percentage of book than I was expecting, because it's a very short book, so I didn't expect the sheer amount. I thought it was going to be maybe like 30% of the book was spice, and it was more than that. So if you go into this one, just be aware. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Maybe it's not. Also, dragons. So, fun times. Moving right along, get into our adventure board. This one was for arts and craft item on the cover, and you may not be able to tell, but it's right up here at the top. This is part of the Knitting in the City book. It is actually a novella, and I didn't realize it was a novella when I got it. It is sort of like a prequel to the Ninja at Something one, so it wasn't my favorite, honestly. If we were doing half stars, I probably, well, that's why I don't do half stars. Because I'm like, I don't know if it's 2.5, but I don't know that it definitely isn't 3.5. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite in general. It is super low spice, speaking of spice, and it was good, but it wasn't my fave. I felt like there was some character development that didn't fit exactly the way I thought it should, and I felt a little bit confused by a couple of spots why certain things were being done by different characters. It could also just be that it was a novella and there wasn't enough time to flesh out some of that stuff, and I'm expecting too much from a novella. Very possible. Because heard me say multiple times, normally novellas tend to get a lower rating from me than other books in the same series. I expect a lot of character development, apparently, for a novella to be able to provide, which doesn't usually happen. So, at 3 stars, wasn't my favorite. I am going to pick up another one in this series at some point. This is I believe I put this one on pause on my list of series when I was figuring out what all series I have open right now, because I have too many, and I do want to read one of these at some point, but not now. This is not one that's going to be prioritized at all, just because I have too many things to read right now. So then this is a short story. that's part of Hidden Legacy. It honestly, I just wanted to use the smile because it is a creepy smile, and I was like, when I read it and it said a bunny or a smile, I was like, can I use this? Do I feel comfortable using a short story as a prompt? Like, I don't. I've read plenty of books that have smiles on it this month, but and I could have used a different one. But I wanted to use that creepy little smile. Which to be fair, I do not think that this graphic works for this story at all. Like, it doesn't fit, in my opinion. But it's a creepy smile. It's just like, here's a mostly little boy, and then it doesn't have a real mouth. It just has like, whoops. Anyway, of the novellas and short stories that are part of this series, this was my favorite. Um, I just thought it was fun. It's the sort of birth story of one of the characters' children in the series, and I enjoyed it. Okay, key retrieval. I got 20 points for this one because there's a hamster and a key. It is a graphic novel, though. It was very short. It is a children's novel, children's graphic novel. I do not have this one on my to be moving on in general, but if I on the series list, it's on pause, I believe. If I have a prompt that fits for this one, though, I would read it. They were cute. I didn't love it. It wasn't my absolute favorite graphic novel of all time, but again, it was made for children, and it was cute. And if I had kiddos or children in my life who were of this age, I would definitely read it with them. I think it was cute. Just reading it by myself is probably not going to be happening anytime soon. All right, then we get to the last books added to my TBR. I mentioned that both books were fairly short. I had added a whole bunch of books about autism, and then I happened to be scrolling through social media, and this series came up on the social media, and I was like, oh, that sounds cute. And so that was the last book that was literally added to my TBR at the time that I got this prompt. Was Tangles and Treason. It's a Vampire Knitting Club prequel. You can tell what I had been searching for was for this one, more than likely, at the time, and that's probably why it came up in my socials, because I had been searching for books that had to do with knitting and sewing and crafting in general. This book does not have any knitting in it that I remember. I went back thinking, is there knitting in this? No, but it's a prequel, and it sounds like the first actual book in the series takes place at a knitting store, or at least a main character works at a knitting store, because like the very last part of it, there's like discussion of seeing somebody walking into a store. I'm like, oh, that's how we got there. Okay, cool. But I thought it was a good book. I went with 3. It was a novella, or at least a fairly short novel. If it hit novel side, it was on the short side. I liked it. I would just say it was cute rather than amazing. You know what I mean? But anyways, I liked it. I will definitely read the actual first book of this series to see how I feel about it. But it's got like vampires and witches and apparently knitting and mystery, which sounds, well, maybe not mystery. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I was looking for cozy knitting related mystery type situations. So I assumed that it was going to be a mystery. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's just vampires and knitting. I'm not sure. We'll find out when I get to the first one. But it is on my list of ones to get to. Hopefully fairly soon. Maybe Q1. I don't know. There's so many books. And then that is the end of, and I did that in the last one too. That's the end of the sort of reviews for today. I still need to do my September wrap up and my planning for October, and we're already several days into October, so I apologize for that. I've been traveling a lot, and then my computer decided not to work anymore. I'm working with part of the screens I normally work with and borrowing my husband's he just replaced his, I think it's a graphics card that he just replaced, so he happened to have an extra one that he is seeing if I use this one, if it will be probably, maybe it was, I can't remember if he said it was a graphics card of, the graphics cards definitely changed, but I don't remember if that's the only thing they changed. But anyway, he's trialing it out to see if he can figure out for sure what the problem is. I'm hoping I will be able to get through the weekend with everything still going just fine and do some more recording, but we will see. I'm going to try to do as much as I can as early in the week as I can, just in case I need to order parts for my computer, because that could take a little bit of time to get everything in, as we are aware. So I will chat with you guys later and have a great rest of your day. Bye.